Before I was born, although I did not have the physical body, I must be present somewhere. And then, when I was born, this physical form happened to me, and I took a name in this world and then started my journey. A journey of searching more and more physical forms. In fact, trying to find out the anchors who will serve for this physical form. My parents, my family, my friends, my followers, my students, they all become my anchors. And I started believing that I am a physical form. The more I started believing I am a physical form, I started working towards protecting this physical form. And when I want to protect this physical form, I also would like to protect the physical forms of the anchors of my life. So I went into the process of protecting, providing for the physical forms of my family, my friends. And from here started the journey of ego, instilling in me the fear to protect my physical form and the forms of the anchors of my life. The ego made a permanent place in my home. Not only did it had a permanent place, but it also became the host of the home. And the activity of the host is to guide me, protect me, warn me against those entities who might be enemies of this physical form. So, this host in my house sits there and sings the song of how bad the world is, how bad the people are, how bad some friends are, how they were mean to you, how you have been the kind person on this earth, how you are the messiah of this world, and how others are the culprits or the criminals of this world. This host of mine, I don't know when did it take the permanent place and when did it become the guiding force of my life. The more I believed that I am a physical form, the more option was there for the host to stay in my house and dictate the terms. And then was the time for me when I realized the only activity of this host in my home is to instigate me about all the fears, all the possible fears that can be for this body. Like the provisions you need to survive in this world, to get a job, to do well in this world, to earn money, lot of money, to fulfill the current desires, and also to save for the future. And in doing so, the host convinced me, the ego convinced me that I am just a physical form. But by observing my life again and again and thinking out loud that what are the physical forms I am anchoring to? Who are they? Who are they? Who are they actually? Are they physical forms? Am I the physical form? If we were all about the physical forms, then what about the spirit in us? I asked this question to me again and again, and I realized there is something unlimited about me. There is something powerful about me. There is something vast about me which I cannot describe to my host. So I have to hide this from the ego who is sitting inside my house. I had to hide these feelings from the ego and sit down and think again and again. I, as a physical form, what am I doing? I am protecting myself from the world and others as a physical form. What are they doing? They are protecting themselves from this world by asking myself again and again this question, this self inquiry, that who am I? Who am I? If I am the physical form, then I should be over with this physical form. But that may not be the case. Even this physical form goes off. I might stay in the memory of people around. Could be forever, could be for a short time, depending on what kind of activity I do. In one of the topics which Eckhart Tolle once discussed, he said that when he thinks that how many generations will remember him, when will this physical identity of his be evaporating from the earth beyond the form? And he thought that the maximum it could go back was to his mother, who would max remember him, and there is no future generation. So, probably one or two or three generations of people, and could be the physical identity to which we hold so much that no one will know. We will be forgotten. It's like some friend with whom you have been very close, yet now you're not there in their life. And suddenly, if you meet them, they might remember that once you were friends to them. What has happened? The physical form of yours, which formed a permanent place in the memory of another, has just dissolved, which will actually happen when we leave this body. But in this world, while living also, this incidence happens where our form dissolves in the mind of someone and we are no one there in their life anymore. This brings me again to the same place where I see people, physical forms holding on to physical forms, and that is the whole idea of this world. And the moment you are alone without any physical forms with you, you start falling into the insecured places. You start falling into the insecurity of your mind where it tells that you are alone. And that is the biggest fear, I think, for humanity, where we always seek validation from one form to another. So I know a friend who seeks validation continuously from a person in their life. And when that validation is not provided, this friend of mine feels very low, very down, thinking that, oh, I am not validated anymore. Think about it. Who is that friend? That friend can be me myself. I mean, all the time convincing the world to stay with me, convincing at least one physical form to become part of my life and be with me forever till I survive on this earth is the nature of this body. And who is it that makes this entire setup? It is the mind and the ego because they survive on physical forms. That is their food, you can say. How it is their food? By making relationships and by making these fixed identities. I mean, just think about it. A person standing in your college around the gate is just a person, a physical form standing there. And then your eyes fall on that person and you fall in love with that person. And the person falls in love with you and comes into your life and you both get married. And suddenly that person who was a physical form standing outside the gate become your husband. What was formed in this journey? A mental formation happened where a physical form standing outside had no relationship to you and now suddenly becoming your husband has become the mental identification which you are so strongly having on him or her that without this person your life appears meaningless because there is no validation, there is no support, you're all alone. What were you when this person was standing outside the gate? Right? You must be something, I'm sure. Then what was that? And then when this person, you make the mental identity so strong and the person becomes the husband, what is it that changes? Both are just the two physical forms. Think about this, and I think about this again and again till a person is just a soul in front of us, and we are a soul. The beauty of this no relationship between others and you is that there is no mental identification. So we both are free from the entanglement which the mental identification does. And the moment we are mentally identified, the first thing that comes is ego. And then we become entangled. And then this physical body and my physical body, we sit together and we eat each other in terms of the fact that the ego eats on the activities which this physical form does for me, and similarly, the ego of the other person eats and survives on the activity which I do for him. And for one day, if I deny to do all the activities that are demanded by the other physical form, then I'm so sure of the fact that it is not possible to have a peaceful relationship because the ego won't allow you to. If you can think like how we are with our partners, there is definitely a compelling pressure which we put on the other person because the mental identification is so strong. We are deriving day and night, we are sucking on to the other person's physical identity. So strong is this identity that we won't let go of this identity. And that's why when people have breakups, They literally fall on the feet of the other person saying, "Don't leave me, please don't leave me, please don't leave me." And who do you think is the one who is shouting and crying and requesting? It is the ego. And the beauty of ego is this: it takes satisfaction when the physical form is staying with you. And it also takes satisfaction when the physical form is leaving you. Because first it was surviving on the beautiful things this physical form was doing. And it was feeling very, very relished. Like you're eating a wonderful dish and you're feeling very relished. You're relishing the wonderful dish. And then suddenly, when that dish is taken from you, the ego survives on the unhappiness that is caused by that dish not being there. So the song of the ego goes like this. Earlier, it's like, "Oh, you're my life, you're my partner, you're the love of my life, you're the best thing that can ever happen to me, and you are the one for me." And the song suddenly changes the moment expectations are not fulfilled for the ego. The expectations are changed, thus the song is also changed. And the song goes like, "Oh, you must be the mistake of my life. We should have never married. We should have never been with each other. You're the worst one whom I've ever seen. You're so mean." Who do you think sings this song? You know, the physical form containing the ego sings this song again and again. And that's why the human race is always in the journey of finding out a better option. It is always in the path. I'm on my way. I'm on my way. Nobody tells, I am inside my way and I'm already there. It's always this incessant run behind physical forms. And then finally, we find somebody who is completely according to us, who doesn't restrict us in any way, who is completely listening to whatever we say, who agrees to every other thing and the demand we have in life. And then we think, see, now I have arrived. The ego feels like the most delicious dish has been presented to it. And then it keeps on surviving on that and becomes gluttonous and fat till the person agrees to what you are doing. And the day this person wants to leave you or go off somewhere, I think that is the day when the gluttonous person suddenly, out of nowhere, would start feeling that, okay, find out all the flaws that are there in this person and start singing the song again. So, where does this journey takes us? This birth of physical form makes us search for more physical forms to anchor for. And they become our anchor. And at a point of time, we start protecting them. So we become their anchors too. And the journey continues till when? Till this physical form of mine realizes that I am not just this form. I am not this limited being only about food and the physical needs of my body. I am the unlimited one who definitely has no need for this physical body. I was existing before it and I will exist after it. But just this limited time period where I have taken this body makes me fall into all these traps which the body draws because of the host it contains in itself, which is the ego. And what incessant run! I find those people who can satisfy my ego, and I only stay with them. I make friends with them. They are also part of my own family. And I do not allow any other person to come into this arena of mine because the outsiders might not listen to my ego, so I ensure that they do not come into my world as well. And then I stay there like a king, happily in its kingdom, one ego ruling the egos of many and feeding on the egos of many, and similar to, for them also as well, like their ego feeding on my existence and the conditions which I fulfill for the ego. and we all stay happily ever after. And then suddenly, through certain way, if we tumble upon the fact that the person whom we trusted so much broke our trust in a way or another, we suddenly tumble down, and there comes the pain. And through the suffering, through the pain, we ask this question, that what is the cause of this suffering? Who caused it at the first place? And the more we ponder, the more we can get the answer that it is the ego that survived in me like a host. It's like some other country person who enter into our own country and stay there, and then start doing things inside our country which causes pain. Ego is exactly that entity. And if you do not realize who ego is, you can keep going through lifetime after lifetime, feeding onto others' ego, making others feed onto your ego, seeking for comfortable environments and people with whom your ego can survive to the maximum. These are the people who would never find flaws in you. These are the people who would always praise you. These are people who would tell you that you are the best, you are always right, you are the gold in the gold mine. These people are the ones who are the feeders of your ego. And till you tumble down, till you humble yourself down, till you look yourself inside out and think what makes you so arrogant when that's not your real nature, our near real nature is pure, abundant self. It's actually the most peaceful self we are. But where do we stay that? We leave that physical form in childhood, who was playful, who was in la 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 land, and then we come to a land of, insecurities, fear, grabbing onto my own people, my brother-in-law, my sister, my family. All of these I'm holding in my both hands because they are the physical forms who have agreed to satisfy my ego, and I am the physical form who wants to satisfy their ego. And I stayed there forever singing the song of ego till these people start hurting me and I start questioning my presence on this earth and start realizing, oh, what? It was all the time this person, this criminal who had entered our country. Oh, he was staying in the country as a person, as my own countrymen. But I couldn't realize that. So, this is the time where Eckhart Tolle is suggesting that it is time to understand that this entity is staying inside you, and you need to recognize this thief, and you cannot kill this thief because the thief is not a physical entity. You can understand that this thief can only be dissolved by again and again uniting with every other person in this world in the place called as consciousness, knowing that we all are one. We all are that one entity who has taken millennials of physical form. Just knowing that is absolutely our next step, where you are not thinking that let me remove this person from my life, let me bring this person into my life, let me grab this person into my life. You are thinking, oh, I am this pure being, I'm in love unconditionally with you, with every other being on this earth, because essentially I am the same as this person. I just have taken a physical body which might look different, but in reality, I am just one. Nobody is my husband, nobody is my wife, nobody is my girlfriend. No one. I am one with everyone beyond the mental identifications which I have formed. So find out who are the definite anchors of your life and see how much you are clinging on to them, how much, and see the danger that if they decide not to cling on to you anymore and throw you out of their lives, see what pathetic condition you will feel. But if you unite with them, not in terms of the physical form, but in terms of the love that exists in you, whether they keep you in their life, whether they speak to you, whether they love you or not, in deep essence of it, you realize that they are your own and you are their own. Every individual, every bird, every tree, every ounce on this earth, every particle of sand, everything is just you, and you are one with them. You are just one with them, and that is the oneness.